Oh, well, I don't know. It could be. Oh, I hope so. Hello, hello. You want to walk out in the other room and check the audio just to be sure?
Can you hear me? Ooh, do you have it up? Okay, you have it up there?
I have it.
Okay.
Down or low? Up. You're good? Okay. You can't see it.
Yeah,
Hey,
we're
everybody.
good.
We're getting set up. We're getting set up. Give us a minute. It's just visual.
Hello, welcome.
We are getting set up. We are inside the care project. Give us a minute.
Can you guys hear? Can you give us a thumbs up or let us know?
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear us? I can. I've been
Yeah,
able to hear myself the whole time. Can you guys hear us?
Hey, hi, Fabiola.
No. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
No. We don't hear them. They're just. Yeah. Yeah. No. That's why.
It's not like Clubhouse.
Yeah. No. It's not a Zoom. It's not a Zoom. So we are live at the Care Project in my studio that Chris Donovan, my lovely co-host and producer, created for me. And we have our friend Michelle and my lovely assistant Diana's over there drinking wine on the sofa. So I just had a big bright idea and thought we should record our next episode and let people on TikTok sort of listen in and watch. So please know I cannot see a comment at all. So Michelle has her phone. Chris has an iPad, and they will be reading comments. But first, what we're going to do is we're just going to record a really quick, maybe 25, 30-minute podcast episode with Michelle, kind of sharing a little bit of her story and how we met. And then we will end that recording, and we will chit-chat with you guys. And our favorite therapist, Milton Jones, is going to join us in about 30 minutes when he's done working for the day, and we will bring him on live as well so we can discuss trauma and cancer. So are we good on that?
We're still good. We're good.
All right. I'm going to hit record. You guys ready? You know, I always wanted to say, quiet on set.
Oh,
I need one of those things. What are those clapper things?
Yeah,
I don't even know what they're called.
What are they called?
Markers, probably.
You're an
They're probably
actor.
yeah, but I don't know what they're
It's like a
called.
mark,
Slate.
right?
It's a slate.
It's
That's
like
what
a
it is.
slate, yes.
See, I knew.
All right, we're hitting record. Hey, everybody. We are here with another edition of Handle with Care, Cancer, and Beyond. I'm in the studio, and we are live on TikTok for the first time. Hey, Chris.
Hi.
Are you still figuring out?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it so we can see the feed right here a little easier on my iPad, but I'm on your account, so it's a little more difficult.
I know.
I have to read stuff.
I know.
Why do you do that to me? Oh, that's right. You can't see.
I can't see,
That's
guys.
fine.
So for those who are on live TikTok, I literally cannot see out of my left eye. So I'm blind, and it's probably better that way. So when Milton joins, we'll make him a moderator so he can get rid of any trolls.
And I think we have like 75 people with us
already.
Yeah.
Wow.
76 now.
Awesome. Okay, so listen, let's get into this episode. So our special guest is Michelle Barrett Gower. No, did I say it right? I did. Okay. So Michelle is a metastatic breast cancer patient, and let's tell everybody, when were you first diagnosed?
So I was first diagnosed stage 2B breast cancer, IDC, back in October of 2019 is when I found my lump. I went through kind of the diagnostic process and started chemo then on Christmas Eve, my first chemo session.
Christmas Eve?
Oh,
Christmas
man.
Eve.
That's not a fun present.
Well, I started with AC, so it was kind of a hard chemo to start with.
Ooh.
AC is the red devil that
The
you've
red
heard
devil.
so much
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, my family could be off and be home and be around, so it actually wasn't that bad. So it was pretty.
Okay.
But 2019, I was diagnosed stage 2B.
How did you find it? Was it a routine mammogram? Did you roll over in bed like I did and feel a lump? Like, what happened?
I was in the shower and just kind of, comfortable feeling around and doing some self-checks and just found it, and it was huge. And I went and woke up my husband. I was like, feel this. Have you ever felt it before, right? Because I'm thinking he's maybe more familiar than I am.
Right.
But, I was only 46, so, I wasn't doing routine mammograms or anything like that. I was a road warrior consultant, so I just, what does that mean? Like, I was on the road all the time. I traveled Monday through Thursday to client sites, and then I was just home on the weekends.
Okay.
So it's just kind of a stressful job, and I didn't take time for myself. So, I mean, the fact that I took a long shower was a big deal.
That's what I was just going to say. So, like, I know for me on Friday nights, like, my new self-care thing is I'm not going to dinner with anybody. I'm not going anywhere. But I take a nice, long shower, not rushed, because the rest of my life, it's always a quick, fast, right?
Right.
So I get it. So if you're busy, you're on the road all the time for work, when you finally take a nice, long shower,
when you start to feel around and feel some things, and that's how I found it.
Okay. How did you cope with the initial diagnosis? Were you shocked? Were you?
Well, when I was initially diagnosed from the biopsy, I was diagnosed hormone receptor positive, meaning my cancer could be targeted using hormone receptors. And it was weekly positive. So for me, that was a huge weight because I had lost 2 friends to triple negative breast cancer. So my initial diagnosis was, well, as long as it's not triple negative, I'm gonna be okay. We can get through this. And so, that was I was kind of relieved in the beginning, and I called some friends of mine who had gone through it and listened to what they said. But, that was the initial relief. Was, oh, okay, I don't have triple negative. It's not what Sarah or Marie passed away from.
Right. So you knew Sarah Mental.
Yes, I did. Very well. Sarah and I were
I knew her husband, Andy. Yeah. Our parents, our moms were friends. So it's weird where we find comfort in a diagnosis, right? So I was also estrogen positive for my cancer. I was stage 3. I had lymph node involvement. I was 40. I had just turned 41 days before, so I hadn't had a first mammogram. And so I remember telling my best friend, Lupe, as long as they don't say infiltrating ductal, we're good, because that's the most fast growing, blah, blah, blah. This is all I knew at the time, right?
Right.
And sure enough, the surgeon comes in. I had 2 tumors, and he goes, okay, so this one is in infiltrating ductal. I was like, oh, go figure. I have to get that one. But in retrospect, I'm glad, because what that means to those that don't know is if your cancer is fed by estrogen, once you have mastectomy, if you need to, chemo, radiation, you can then follow up with estrogen blocker medication to help you hopefully keep it from returning. I'm not on those medications. I took them for a couple of years and it left me unable to walk. So I said I'm done. But it's a good thing when you have estrogen.
Well, yeah, and so I was pretty positive about that until I had my mastectomy and they got my tumor out and they were able to test that tissue, which was triple negative.
Oh, shit.
So in that short amount of time in between, starting chemo and then I did not respond to Taxol, my tumor had grown. They did a rush mastectomy, right. And this is the height of COVID. I was diagnosed right before COVID started.
Hold on, I didn't even think about that.
So you had to go to all these appointments alone?
No, this was right. Well, when I first started, when I was going through the heavy chemo, like the Red Devil and Taxol, my mom could still go with me. My husband could still go with me. But when I had my mastectomy, then, first of all, there was no elective surgery. So I couldn't have a double mastectomy. I could only have a single mastectomy. And my husband dropped me off at the hospital doors, said, call me, they'll call me when you're ready. And I went home that night. And my mom, I had no infection, thank God. But yeah, I came home that night. They picked me up outside in the wheelchair.
That's gnarly.
I'm drinking wine tonight, folks. And let me just mention really quickly, I am in pajamas. And the reason I'm in pajamas is these are made by Cozy Earth. And Cozy Earth is sponsoring this episode. And when I tell you, are these not soft?
They are wonderful.
So these were on Oprah's favorite things 4 times already.
Yeah.
And
makes sense.
Yeah. This is what I finally realized. What these feel like on your skin is like that lotion that has the cooling or the Kleenex, right?
Yeah.
Or tissue.
The Puffs Plus.
Yeah. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Puffs Plus Kleenex or lotion, whatever the shit that is. The tissues that have the lotion in that feels like menthol on your nose. That's what these feel like on
Yeah.
your body.
They're comfy. She came in, she goes, I got them a couple sizes too big. And I'm like, you're supposed to. They're pajamas.
Right.
They're going to be like lounging clothes.
Yeah. So I hope to get more sets of pajamas, and we'll hook Chris up too and his wife.
They look good. They look comfortable.
They are.
The material's awesome.
They are. And I'm not hot flashing yet, but I am drinking wine by
just give her
Highway
5
12.
minutes.
So anyways, that's another show. So, okay. So fast forward. You get through chemo. Did you have radiation?
I did. After my mastectomy, I did 24 sessions of radiation.
Okay.
And then, and so then I thought I was in the clear, going to start Zolota just in case there was circulating tumor DNA going in my system. When I went to have that staging CAT scan after radiation, that was when they found out that I was metastatic and it had spread to my lungs. So it had already spread. I mean, I'm very unique in that I have this very crazy, aggressive cancer that loves to grow. And until recently, we didn't find anything to stop it. It's always been from the beginning.
From jump, just heavy.
Next thing, what's next? Okay, we have progression here. What's next?
Now, Zolota is another oral chemo, right?
That's an oral chemo,
okay.
Yeah.
You're not hooked up to IVs, you're taking chemo pills.
Right.
Same type of side effects, though, correct?
It was, for me, my liver, I have some liver issues, right? My liver doesn't process
as I take
chemo.
A sip of my wine.
No, they guaranteed me it's not alcohol related because I said, my 20s were a party.
So were my 40s.
But no, the toxicity of my liver with Zolota, I had a toxic reaction. My liver couldn't process it. Okay. So I was only on it for about a week, but it's oral chemo, and I don't think it's any, easier than IV chemo, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. So 2 things, because I know there's people that are watching that are probably starting chemo or in chemo now. Everybody's body responds differently. We could be, DJ and I, my lovely friend over there on the couch, we were diagnosed with the same exact type of cancer. We had the same treatment, the same chemo, and my body responded very well and took it like a champ, sort of, most of the treatments. Whereas DJ really suffered. And we have another friend named Gina who suffered even worse because she was allergic to everything. So every single treatment she had was just a shitstorm of trying to calm the side effects. Yeah. So it's now in your...
So at that point, it was in my lungs, but it over the 2 years since then, it was about a half year, or give or take.
Yeah.
I've had it in my adrenal gland. I had it in my lymph nodes under my arm and the sentinel node. So that was removed as well when I had my mastectomy. But yeah, I had it in my lungs, my adrenal gland, which is very unusual, and then paratracheal node.
Go figure. Because you are special. You're like, go big or go home. I'm going to just get it in all kinds of random
I was just
places.
going to yell bingo. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
had a 9-centimeter growth on my adrenal gland. I wondered why my back was hurting me. I thought, I'm getting old.
Do you know that I have a mass on my adrenal gland, and I've had it since diagnosis, but they consider it as inactive.
Yeah.
I guess it's supposed to produce some sort of something if, in fact, it's cancerous. So
you'll have a cortisol spike.
Right. So I do occasionally, maybe once a year, I do like a 24-hour urine collection, and then they analyze it, and that's how they can tell that. Because every time I get a scan, which is once a year, there's the adrenal gland, there's a lung nodule. DJ also has lung nodules.
Yeah.
A lot of people who've been through chemo have nodules on their lungs, even though we suspect benign because they stay stable, right?
They don't grow.
They don't grow. Yeah.
Are you going to make that shirt stable?
I do want to make that shirt stable just for Heather's support.
Okay, so I'll make a note. Make shirt.
Make a shirt that says
stable.
So what I'm talking about is if you listen to other episodes with metastatic patients, specifically Heather and Lavetta, they are hilarious. And they always talk about, the life of a metastatic patient is you are forever in treatment. You will forever be in some kind of treatment until the treatment doesn't work unless you have a miracle healing, right? And so Heather always says, I'm just looking for that result of my CT scan or my MRI that just says, I'm stable. I'm fucking stable.
Fucking stable again.
So that's what we're talking about. So how did you process that? Like all of a sudden now you're metastatic. Like,
it was I get that question a lot, and I was going to treatments by myself by that point, right? Nobody could go with me.
Terrible.
I had a friend that I would get on FaceTime, and she would take my notes for me. She was a super fast note taker, so at least I had all of that.
Yeah.
But I had been going through my treatments, largely by myself, and decided to move back here to California. When I started treatment, I was living in Phoenix, Arizona. Moved back here to California, where my mom was living, and she has a home here in Riverside, and moved back in with her, and she was taking care of me largely in Arizona. So moved back here, got an oncologist, had him at City of Hope for a year, was stable the whole time until I had progression. Then suddenly I had progression, and just decided I fired him. He wasn't the right fit for me.
So where did when you say progression, was it getting larger in the lungs, or was it moving outside of that?
So what happened when they found my lung nodules? I had 15 across both of my lungs.
Right.
And I did a year with Halaven and Keytruda, and they were almost all gone. They were down to about 4.
I've heard great things about Keytruda.
Keytruda's pretty good. Of course, my cancer after that year mutated and was no longer PD-L1 positive, so I couldn't take it anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, it did really well, and it does amazing things for nodules in your lungs or lung cancer, and it cleared a lot of that up. But then I had my adrenal gland grow and kind of get out of control. So,
and inoperable, they can't.
No, it's inoperable.
Okay.
Well, my adrenal gland now, so here's the good part, right?
Right. Get to that.
Let's get to the
Yeah,
good
please.
part.
Get to the good part before I drink this whole bottle.
And I can't wait for us to start talking about like trauma
We're going to do
responses,
that.
right?
We're
Because
going to do that.
as somebody who's metastatic, that's a big deal. When you're constantly being hit with things. But I recently had a PET scan, and the mass on my adrenal gland is no longer active, no longer metabolic. So they think it's all scar tissue. I did have radiation. I had high dose MRI guided radiation on that.
So you didn't just have radiation; you had the fancy shit.
She went big. You remember? We talked about this.
You guys,
my kind of girl. That's why we're friends.
My hospital is Hogue in Newport Beach. Come on, if you're gonna want the fancy shit, that's where you go.
That's where you go. That's where you go. Absolutely, absolutely.
So I have some fancy radiation that really just knocked out all of my adrenal cancer. So I really only have one spot left. And that's a lymph node in the middle of my chest that we're planning to radiate next month. Okay. And that will get me as close as I've been, obviously, to NED or to NAD.
Which is no evidence of disease.
Yes. Or just really, really stable. I'll be super stable.
Super stable.
Oh, that's going to be her shirt. Stable master.
That's my superpower, is stability.
So, but you're in chemo now.
Yeah, I'll be in chemo for the rest of my life.
And it's IV chemo, or
it's IV chemo.
Okay.
And it's a beast. We had to reschedule this podcast a couple times because I've just been too sick.
Yeah.
How often do you do chemo?
I do it 2 weeks on and 1 week off.
So once a week, or
once a week?
Okay.
Yeah. When I can. So right now my liver enzymes are high. I'm not. That's why.
A week off.
That's the only reason that we're able to do this today is because the other times she had chemo and she was just wiped out, and then this time I
had a break.
She had a break, so she feels great, but the reality is her white blood cell count. Right?
No, my liver enzymes.
Oh, your liver.
My liver enzymes are about 5 times normal.
Okay.
And they think it's just toxicity, again. And they know that
it's
like
it's a good thing because you know that it's in there and it's doing its job, but it's a negative. It's just this balance, this constant dance with.
But thank God for the new good PET. If I didn't have the good new PET scan, though, I have this PET scan now that's really showing super stability.
Awesome.
And so it's okay that I can take a few weeks break or a week here and a week there or a dose reduction now,
right?
Because I'm doing so well.
Right. So you're married.
I'm married. I've been married to my husband for 12 years, but we were high school sweethearts. So we went out in high school. I broke up with him when I went to college because I was a college girl.
Smart you. Very smart.
That might be another show, Michelle.
Yeah.
Then we both married other people and came back and married each other. And then we have a wonderful son who's 11 years old.
Oh.
So how did your husband, what was his role in this? How did he play? And here's what I mean by that. other shows that Chris and I have done, we talk to people where marriages just fall apart.
Right.
Or they just are so solidified because that trauma bonds, so to speak, in the best way, right? They have to come together. So do you feel like it strengthened your marriage?
Definitely. I would say definitely.
That's awesome.
Because I was, like I said, I was traveling all the time. My
Right.
husband was a stay-at-home dad raising my son. I have a great relationship with my son now, and so it's strange to me to think about working all the time and not having that. But
Got it.
it was constant go, go, go. So our roles changed. We decided to open up a shoe store there in Arizona, and he was taking over really all of the business of what we had to do so that I could just get better. And my mom, obviously,
was amazing.
Was out there in Arizona.
Did your 12-year-old self just, when you heard shoe store, did you think Bundy?
Oh, no. I was thinking of cobbler. I was like, who's the cobbler in the family? I watched that Adam Sandler movie a while back.
Birkenstock store, no?
Birkenstock store, yeah.
Nice. Birkenstocks with socks. That's a Seattle move right there.
So let's talk about your son.
So, yeah, one of the things I think that's most interesting about my story is I was immediately worried about how he was going to react.
Absolutely. As a parent, that's the first thing on our mind.
I've heard when you've told your story before on TikTok and other things too, it was your immediate response is, how am I going to tell my kids this?
Right.
And so he's a very mature 11-year-old in some ways, and in other ways not at all.
Like every little boy, right?
But I was very honest and transparent with him. And I immediately hired him his own therapist that he could talk to, and she specializes in this. And kind of, we call it pre-grief counseling, but we don't actually refer to that as his therapist. And,
it's so important, and that's why our favorite therapist, Milton, is going to join us as soon as he's able, probably in about 10 minutes or so. Are you watching to see?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So he's going to help us talk about that. But we had a Survivor Social here this weekend, and here at the Care Project, which is my nonprofit, we don't have a traditional support group because my stubborn ass didn't want a support group, because all I thought that was what you saw on bad Lifetime movies or Hallmark movies, which was a bunch of old white ladies sitting around crying. And by old, I mean like 80, right? And I was 40, and I was vibrant, and I was this, single mom, a sports mom, and all that. And I didn't want that. I wanted to just sit around and hang out with other people who'd been there, done that. So we did that this past Saturday, and this was your first experience. Right. And we talked, one of our survivors is a social worker, and we talked about the importance of being honest with our kids, right? Age appropriate. I think every parent's default is to try to protect our kids and keep their life as normal as possible. However, I think we owe it to them to be transparent when we're having a bad day. We don't need to give them all the gory details, but we need to be able to say to them, yeah, today I'm a little sad, or I'm a little angry, or
I felt like someone picked on me or something. I mean, it just
something
relatable.
That they could relate to, and that then you can then tell them, and it's okay if you're ever feeling that way, let me know, because we're going to do this together. I just talked with Karen Garrett, who's on TikTok also under SelfKaren78. Hopefully she's in the room. But one of the things that she said that I loved is that when she dropped her son off at school, I have the chills. When she dropped her son, I'm gonna cry. Shit, Chris, do you remember the story? She drops her son off at school, and she tells him, hey, listen, today this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the dry cleaners. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to go take a walk. And I can't wait to tell you about it when I pick you up. And what that does for him, I have to chill. Breathe for a minute. What that does for him is it lets him know that mom isn't sitting at home crying. Yeah. That mom is being productive. She's keeping it moving, and that she's going to tell him all about her day once she picks him up. How did that hit you when she talked about that?
Well, it was amazing, but the other thing that was said was, imagine our imaginations are such that, when we think about, your first chemo experience, I mean, your imagination can run wild. Am I going to have an allergic reaction? Am I going to, whatever, Is this going to be like a toxic green, whatever?
Right.
But kids have that times 100 because they don't have any parameters to put around it.
Yes, that was so important to talk. When she said that, it hit us all like a ton of bricks.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's it.
Right.
That's it.
Right, because we sit around and think about all the what ifs, right? I remember the night before chemo. I remember the night before my mastectomy. My boyfriend, was nowhere to be found, and I was there with my kids in their own room, and I'm trying to tell them everything's going to be fine, because that's what we do.
Right.
But in my mind, I was thinking about what is this and what about that, and who's going to take my kids if I die, and I'm not going to die, and you're going through all this. And what our social worker friend told us is, that's your imagination. Now imagine a kid's imagination.
Yeah.
Oh, right, Chris?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Especially with the internet. Add the internet on top of that, and your kid, has this extreme amount of options to choose from, and how chaotic it could be for life.
And I think Karen said in her episode, was it Karen? I could be mixing up the social with Karen, but one of them said that their child learned that cancer could kill you at school.
Yeah.
And that was Karen's episode.
Yeah, it was Karen's, because then he came home crying because he knew she had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't explained that part yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important. So, not everybody can afford to put their kid in therapy. We get it. But connect with the American Cancer Society, connect with local nonprofits in your area, and see what resources you can find. Mm-hmm. There are some out there. They're hard to find, but something. Look, even on your social media, right? Say, hey, look, I'm looking for a social worker that can help me with my kid.
Yeah.
Put a blurb out.
Well, that's kind of the part of the reason. I'm sure you're going to get to this. I don't want to jump ahead, but I started my TikTok.
Yeah.
Was that?
Talk about that.
So people could ask those kinds of questions, so that we could talk about what it is to live every day with metastatic breast cancer.
Right.
Like, I get up in the morning, and if I'm feeling bad, I can maybe be lazy for an hour, but that's not my story, right?
Yeah.
I am learning to cook right now, and I'm gardening right now, and I'm running around after my son, and his best friend stays with us part of the week. So so him and his friend, and we're just out doing life, and
living.
So that's how we did it,
You're living.
And that's I hate to talk about the lessons that cancer taught me, but man, it taught me how to live life.
Yes, I say it all the time. If anybody listens to my show, DJ's over there, amen, choiring on the couch.
Me, I'm not even diagnosed with cancer until I've done this podcast. Every single person that I've met has a sense of urgency, a sense of purpose, and they're going to get that shit done now.
Yeah.
Ask Carrie.
Like me.
I said to Chris about 2 or 3 days ago, hey, I think I want to record the next episode, and while we're doing it, let's go live on TikTok. He's like, okay.
Not that hard.
So, no, well, for you, I can't see shit, and I'm technically ignorant, but listen, I just want to show up and talk because that's what I do best, in my cozy earth pajamas.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Oh, by the way, go to the website. It is carriemadrid.com, and there was a pop-up window. You can get 40% off your order.
Yeah, and if you're on TikTok, you can go to the link in my bio, and you'll find it there.
Yeah.
And I'm donating all commissions to the Care Project, which is my nonprofit.
Yeah. Which is not much, but if you go there and do it, everything benefits the Care Project.
Everything benefits the Care Project. I'm not getting paid. I'm getting free gifts. So, okay. So let's wrap up this portion of recording. I want to really get to talking to people, but tell us where you're at now, and then we're going to go into like I always say, cancer saved my life. And like you just said, the lessons learned, right? It's like you shouldn't feel bad about saying that, or you shouldn't be hesitant about saying that. And I understand why you are,
right?
But understand that it's life lessons that are priceless. That I always say on this show, and it sounds shitty, but I'm gonna say it because I keep it real. This is how I feel. Everybody should have a near-death experience at least once, so that they can get their priorities straight and they can understand what's happening.
And she's available for bar mitzvahs and Christmases and holiday parties. She'll give you that life death experience. But no, you're true. It's true. It's helped me, this podcast at least. I mean, I haven't had the diagnosis of cancer or life death or near death experience that I know of.
But the lessons learned, right? And that's why we call the show Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond, because we feel like everybody can benefit from the lessons. And we don't just talk about cancer. Obviously, that's the underlying theme. But we talk about anyone who's really overcome craziness.
Anything. I mean, everybody's got a story. Everybody has a story. What
Everybody
they're doing,
has a story, and we've talked about all the things that are important. It's just amplified in our life, right? So one of the biggest lessons I know I learned was not having to fit in, right?
Yeah.
We're fed and conditioned to believe that you got to do X, Y, and Z to achieve the American dream, and you got to go to college, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. And hey, those things are all great if that's what you want, and you can do it. But it's not the only way to happiness.
Mm-hmm.
I have learned, and I've always been a very simple person. I can be a little bougie with experiences, but other than that, I'm very simple. Very simple. I have a very modest home.
Well, no, I wouldn't say you're bougie with experience. I say you go and do things like
quality.
you want to do.
Enjoy.
I want quality. I will go and spend $200 on a lovely steak dinner with an awesome bottle of wine once a year because I'd rather do that than put it in the slot machine.
Exactly.
Or I'd rather do that than spend it on a $500 purse. To me, that's silly.
You just make very strategic choices
on
what you want to do.
I do
you enjoy
because
it.
I'm single and I'm a one-income person, and I keep it simple, and I think that there's something so beautiful about just enjoying everyday life.
Living or just existing, I heard them said before.
Oh, that's Milton's thing. Are you living or are you existing?
But isn't that one thing that the pandemic has taught us, though, is
hope.
about appreciating the small things in life.
Yeah.
And whether it's like for me learning to cook, like I didn't ever want to, but now I have time to, and you learn these different things about layering flavors, and it's just, I mean,
when you cooking
just
for us,
learn how to live.
You're talking about layering flavors, Chris. That means we need to.
I'm
Well,
like,
I told
let's wrap
you the
this
other
up.
day
I'm hungry.
I could have you guys over, for the group. But yeah. I mean, I think that's what it is, right? You appreciate stability.
Stable.
But
Sure, it's already made. It's in process right now.
I just love having time with my son and learning and seeing things through his eyes. Like him and his friend, they get so excited. Like, we're going to spend the summer at the beach because I have to go to radiation 3 times a week.
Right.
We're like, let's just get a trailer and park it down there.
Yeah, Newport Dunes. Let's go.
Exactly. So they're like, yeah, what we're going to do. So.
See, and part of this conversation, which we're going to go into when Milton joins us. Is he here yet?
I don't see him joined yet.
Okay, no. He should just be ending the session soon. Is the trauma, right? So we're laughing and we're joking and we're saying that we've learned these lessons and that's all true. But the fact of the matter is there's still trauma. There's still trauma. There's PTSD. There's ongoing management of trauma, anxiety, all the things. I have it written down here on my notepad about things that people have commented that I want to get into soon. But what is your TikTok handle so people can go follow you?
It's Michelle Tock Cancer. That's my TikTok handle. It's on my Instagram. If anybody's out there and you just want somebody to talk to, I answer my messages. I answer comments, and if you just need a place to start, someone to point you in the right direction, please reach out to me. But yeah, I've taken a lot of classes in complex PTSD and trauma related responses to medical care, for example.
Okay.
So, if this is something that you're facing, please don't think that you're alone, because there's so many of us, and Cancer Talk, on TikTok, so many other women and men that you can reach out to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to wrap this episode and say thank you to Cozy Earth for my jammies. Go to carriemadrid.com to get that 40% discount, to connect with the podcast, to connect with me if you want to be a guest on the show. If you want a podcast, contact Chris. He's at thisisfunner.com. He is my producer, my co-host, my tech guy.
Me. I'm back over there now.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out this.
Hey.
Thank you guys for staying with us. We're gonna end this recording.
Just push stop there.
Okay. What's my phrase at the end? Hey, take care. All right, we're done recording. So let's get into comments and conversation. Yeah. So let me find my. You got it? These 2 comments.
We'll have to charge him $1. He's late. We'll have to charge him $1.
Who said that?
Fabiola.
Oh, of course she did. That's my girl. That's my girl. Yeah, he's so good with his clients that if someone needs something, and it could be on our end. He might be sitting there, and we need to let him in. I don't know.
I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
I follow him.
Okay. So let's talk about this. I'm going to go over this list, and then you watch the comments and tell me what people want to talk about first. So some of the things that I wrote down are scanxiety, which I know is for everybody, fear of recurrence, loving or accepting your body following cancer treatment. And that applies for everybody. This isn't just breast cancer. This is any gynecological cancer. This is prostate cancer. This is testicular cancer. Along those lines, dating after cancer, right? Dating after cancer is rough. Let me just tell you that from my own experience. Male breast cancer patients, prostate cancer, testicular, a lot of cancer types, and it doesn't have to be just the ones I mentioned, are on medications after that leave men with erectile dysfunction, leave women with lack of libido. A lot of us are thrown into early menopause. I was diagnosed after just turning 41. I then had to have a total hysterectomy at 43, which meant major menopause, hot flashes, dryness, lack of interest, all the things.
Achiness, just achiness.
Oh,
and
girl. Itchiness.
Oh.
What is that? Itchy, right?
Yeah.
Itchy ears. My chest right here gets really itchy sometimes, and I find myself like, what is that?
Yeah.
Your heart palpitates. Who knew? And I talked to Dr. Martin, my primary care, who's one of my best friends, and I was like, what is this? Like, what's happening? She's like, oh, yeah, menopause. I'm like, fucking great. I lived through cancer to get to menopause at 43. So, you have a pity party for a minute and then you move on, right? But I think the other thing is obviously metastatic issues, right? So while you're here, let's talk about that first. How do you react when you see, and please keep it real. That's what we do here. How does it make you feel when you see somebody celebrating a cancerversary, for instance?
Well, so I'm pretty positive in general, and I love to celebrate everything with everyone. I celebrated my cancerversary. I might have a film like video editor. Hey, do my
I got you.
my 3-year anniversary. But when I hear, it's really difficult for me to be in a cancer center and hear the bells rung. That's the hardest thing for me. And after I did this high dose chemo, they're like, "Do you want to ring the bell?" And I'm like, "I'm not going to ring the bell as long as I have 10 women that are in my persistent chat group that are still fighting this cancer. I'm not going to ring any bells for myself."
There wasn't a bell where I was. So you know what I did?
She brought her own damn bell, probably.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. But what I did is I wore like I had a fedora on because that's what I do. I had a fedora on, a white and black one, and I forget what kind of outfit I had on. I always made it an occasion to go to chemo. And I'd walk in even with like not high heels, but like wedges or something. And then by the end, of course, I'd be in my slippers shuffling out like I was 95. But I wore a boa, and I hate the color pink, right? But somebody gave me a pink boa because they were meaning well. So I wore that pink boa and that fedora, and I literally danced out of there to like the Gap Band, Outstanding. Which is my favorite
it was 2 Live Crew, let's be honest.
I was not. I was like, she said.
Yeah, Michael
No. I had to do the, anti 2-step, so it had to be Charlie Wilson and the Gap Band. But yeah, I mean, you do what you have to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I understand because there's time. So one of the other things is survivor skill, right? And anyone that is a cancer survivor will understand this. There are times where somebody I know, in fact, I have at least 3 or 4 friends right now that are metastatic that were diagnosed the same exact year as me, 2012, the same stage. We had the same treatment. And for whatever reason, their cancer is back. It's in their bones. It's in their spine. It's in their brain. It's in their liver. And here I am, still in remission. And while I'm grateful for that, it makes me feel bad sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It's really hard, right? And like I said, I have this core group of women that I'm going to chat with. That we've lost some women in that group too, and it's really difficult when you think of, especially being metastatic, right? Because you think of a trauma has a beginning and an end. But when you're metastatic, where's the end? I mean, the climax is typically death. So, so when we're talking about that, you're constantly reliving that trauma. And so you do things like make chemo an event. where you dress up and you make it. My mom and I always go out to wherever I want to eat afterwards because I'm still okay. Like right afterwards, you got all the pre-meds going.
Right.
So my mom will take me out and we'll go out to eat someplace that that we like. It's not necessarily fancy. It could be anything.
Right.
But that's how we do it, and we make it special so that
I make everything an occasion. Like I blew my hair out to come here and get on here. Right. I put makeup on to come here. We could have just been recording audio only, nobody sees us, but I wanted to make it an occasion. I just think it's so much better.
Exactly.
But I think, the advice I will give to anybody who also may feel they have survivor's guilt when a friend has a recurrence or passes away from cancer is their story is not your story, right?
Yep, I have to say that
their
to
story
myself all the time.
Is not, and we're here for a reason. It doesn't mean that person didn't have a reason. This is my personal opinion. Let me just put it out there. This is not the opinion of the Care Project or my podcast. This is my opinion. I feel like we all have an expiration date. We don't know when that is. We are in no control over that. I'm probably going to lose followers for that. I don't really care. This is just my opinion. I believe that we all have an expiration date and we're in no control of it. However, we are in control of how we live in between now and then. Right? We've been given free will to make choices, to live life, to do what we do. So, is he on there? Oh, good. So,
yeah, Milton has joined, yes.
All right.
Thanks, Trisha.
Oh, Trisha's here. Hey, Trisha. We should make Trisha moderator so she could. There's no crazies in there, right?
Nope.
I can't see him yet.
No. Let's see here.
I hear you, but I can't see you.
Can you see me?
No,
Am I here?
No, but I can't see.
Oh, he's in the bottom corner of my phone. Can you see it? But I don't see
It's your icon.
No, go back. Just my icon? Let's see if I can make
your icon, yeah.
I don't know.
You've been living on TikTok all day here, Milton.
Man, swear to God. Truly.
Well, we're glad you're here. We just finished recording with Michelle.
Okay.
You saw Michelle earlier briefly. Oh, there you are. Now I can see him. Well, I can't really see you from over here, but
right.
Trust me.
Oh, Chris has got the iPad. I'll see you in a minute.
We brought like 5 different machines in case we needed to see
We have
something.
all these devices, and thank God Chris made it work. So we were just talking about. I want to backtrack and tell Milton the story about the child's imagination.
Yes.
We had our Survivor Social on Saturday, which is our monthly group. And one of our newest members is a social worker. And she has small kids. And she was saying that we were talking about if you tell your kids about your cancer and what is age appropriate to share with them, or do you just automatically do the parent default and try to keep it regular and normal for them, right? So she was saying the importance of telling them age appropriately is because think about, like Michelle and I were talking about, the night before you have your first chemo or your mastectomy or whatever major surgery you're having. Your mind as an adult, knowing all the facts, goes through all the what ifs and all the stories, right?
Right.
So a kid's imagination is like 100 times worse.
Sure.
So if you don't tell them anything, you're leaving them out there to create all these stories, right? So how do you feel about that?
Man, okay, I'll say this, and I think I said it earlier in the live, on my live. If you set your kid up to believe that people don't argue, then they're at a disadvantage when they enter the world of chaos in the world itself, in society. So you have to be really careful to, in my opinion, to make sure that, because so the other what if is that what if you didn't come home from that surgery? But you never set them, and then all of a sudden they're like, mommy or daddy's not coming home, and this is the reason why. And they're like, what? What do you mean? So you have to be really careful. Is there a right way to do it? I don't know that there's a right way, but I know there's a way to do it. And so you're going to have to do it as best you can as the person who's suffering, who's been diagnosed, is that it will be your responsibility to make sure your kid is aware in the best way possible.
Yeah, like Fabiola said, age appropriate, which, yeah,
Age appropriate.
absolutely.
Exactly. And it's hard because you're making these decisions, and think about it. I mean, we are talking about cancer, but let's process divorce and
Anything traumatic, right?
anything. Exactly. So, um, and I guess Carrie, I guess you can answer some of that. What did you do? What did you do to let your kids know that there were things that you were battling, and how did you do that?
Well, my daughters were in seventh grade and 10th grade. So they were old enough that I could tell them, yes, I
Sure.
have breast cancer and it's going to, you know, be probably another year of surgeries and chemo and radiation. And I don't know what that's going to look like. And it's going to look worse before it gets better. But we got this, right? And I didn't
Right.
say I'm for sure going to live or anything like that. I made sure I didn't make any extreme statements. I just said we're
Right.
going to take it day by day, and I will keep you posted.
Sure.
And I did. Now, with that said, and my son was in the Air Force, so he was in Korea, and he
Okay.
was 23, and
Mm-hmm.
so I had to tell him through Facebook because we didn't have cell phones
Mm.
that we could communicate or anything like that, and so I had to send him a message.
Sure.
Thankfully, he was aware that I was having biopsy, so he knew I was waiting for results. I didn't just shock him. But
Right.
when I told him, I just said, he had just got to Korea and he was going to do a year there. And then from there, he was going to go to his dream destination, which was Japan.
Okay.
And I felt horrible because my doctor was like, your son needs to come home. And I was like, what do you mean he needs to come home? Like, I'm going to die? Like, what? She's like,
Right.
oh, no, but you're going to want him here for that. And me being, I was 18 when I had him, and he finally got free from me and was out going to make his life as a man and, get his education for free through the military and all this stuff. And I just felt horrible guilt. I still do. We probably need
Mm-hmm.
a session on that. About
Right.
he got sent back stateside so that he could finish out his enlistment at that time and be closer to me, which was about 4 hours away, so he could come for chemo week, and be there to help with the
Right.
girls and to help me whatever I needed to do. But he never got to go to that dream destination. He never
Mm.
got to go to Japan. And so,
Okay.
and now of course he's married. He has three little kids under, 5. And,
Right.
but I always think to myself, man, let me hit the lottery or something. I let the kids get older where they could
Mm-hmm.
stay with me for a week so he could go to
Right.
Japan because I feel like I robbed him of that.
Okay.
That's another
Yeah.
show. That's another show. But
Yeah.
I will say with the girls, but I will say with the girls, I wish I had told them the days that were bad instead of being this tough chick that, like, try
Mm-hmm.
to put out the
Right.
man, right? I
Right.
wish I had said to them, today I'm a little bit scared that I'll get
Mm.
through it. I wish I had said to them, today I feel like shit,
Mm-hmm.
or today I'm in pain, something.
Mm-hmm. You know,
And I
it's
didn't.
it's funny that you say that. We tend to pass on that stuff when we're adults, and we say, well, my mom or my dad didn't complain, he sucked it up and blah blah blah, and we put this standard on people. When then you talk to your mom or your dad and they're like, man, that shit hurt, I don't even know why I didn't tell you. Like,
Yeah,
it's those things. And so I love that you're processing on the back end, saying you wish you had, and hopefully there's one day that you'll be able to share that with them so they know that, you know what, mommy did this, but she didn't share the truth, and I know the truth now. And it's okay to say, it's tough today. It's okay to say this is hard today. It's okay to say, that chemo kicked my butt today, right?
right, right, right,
People are more verbal about how they feel, which is why I kind of do what I've kind of done. You guys have had a chance to kind of witness some of that, because society has painted this picture that I got to suck it up and
hmm
that I can't feel pain. And as a man, the machismo, like I got to be like, and
right.
they a lot of that onto women as well. And so it's unfortunate that it looks that way, but it'll be us to change that narrative. That it isn't all perfect, and I may be smiling, but I'm hurting. I'm having a rough time here. So I think it's great that you're sharing it today, and hopefully the followers and the people that are listening today can appreciate that and maybe start to change their own narrative.
Right. I don't know why. Oh, it's kicking me out. I'm trying to read the comments, guys. I can't. Oh, because there's too many devices logged in on this. That's okay. Well, you guys read the comment. No, you guys read the comment. I can't see shit right now. I think that's important. I think somebody, I started to read a comment said, "Don't let that be a burden to me." Um, I I that was probably Trisha too. I bet too, with her big heart. I will say I don't let it be a burden to me, and I don't live with that guilt daily. But it is something that I recently, like, it surfaced for me because just a couple weeks ago, I started writing about my cancer experience because I was doing this speaking engagement, and I've told my story before, bits and pieces, but never from start to finish. And so
Right.
I didn't know how to prep for. I really didn't prep. I was like, oh, I got this speech I got to do in a couple of days. My therapist said you might want to get ready for that. So what I did is I just started writing, like from my first memory of being diagnosed or finding a tumor and through it. And as I got to that section where Anthony had to be brought back, I had this like gut wrenching, like, oh, I don't want to cry. I had this like gut wrenching feeling like, oh my God, I owe him a trip. Now I know he doesn't feel that way, but in my mind, I was like, that kid needs to go to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that here I am 10 years later, and I'm just now starting to have these moments where it's like, oh my God, I need to go talk to my daughter. Oh my God, I need to go talk to them. Because
Right.
in that moment, I was just in survival mode.
Right. Getting through the day.
Yeah.
For me, it was a lot of getting through the next hour without completely losing my mind, freaking out about everything. One thing Fabiola said, and that I think rings true, is that I think kids are more resilient than we give them credit for.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can say my son, being young, and we're trying to find him a support group for kids with parents who have cancer, and then I just found him this great camp that I signed him up for. But he just tells me, he's like, okay, Mom, let's get through it. This next day, maybe we're sleeping on the bathroom floor because we're puking, whatever the case may be, and he's just powering through, and I'm over there like a wreck, thinking, I'm losing it in front of my kid.
Yeah, I mean, not even being diagnosed with cancer, that's a hard thing to do in front of your kid, anything like that. But also, I had my issues a couple of years back with mental health, and you forget about everybody else's feelings. Even if you love them to death and you're living in the house with them, you kind of forget about it. So when you look back, you're like, man, I was, kind of a jerk, or I was, not there, and I never listened. You know what I mean? So you hopefully see that in retrospect. But I mean, yeah, kids, they're awesome.
Yeah, but Milton, speak to that with Chris, because I know that just hit me hard, so I know it had to hit you. What do you say to
Well, it's. I mean, of course, it's situational, but it's just hard because how do you not feel guilty, right? When you're, you said it best when you're talking about the household, or he's on the floor with you, but how do you not feel like you've lost something, or you're taking something away from them, or even that you're not at your best and you can't do more for them. There's and I will say the hardest part is also being part of a society that is filled with machismo, right?
That part.
So it's as a man not being able to be, or not being able to produce what like society would like you to produce, or so when it comes to and I will say, and I'm saying cancer because this is the topic, but the toughest part is that there is no guarantee, there is no it's a mending situation. I broke my ankle, and this is something that continues to leave doubt in the household, leave doubt within the family, and then leaves the annual fear of the checkup and things like that. And so can I be there for my family, and will I be able to be there long term?
And then you've got a case like Michelle who's metastatic. So her cancer has spread and she will forever be in treatment until treatment no longer works.
Right. And
So there's
even
no finish line. You know what I mean? There's no
right,
finish line.
right. So it's almost like I'm running and the best way to say it is I'm running a forever marathon. And
Yeah, I have a
and
question about that actually. Do you feel like you're the turtle or do you feel like you're the hare? Because everybody references that in their life, how fast they are, how slow they are. You've had
No, I feel like it's a turtle's race. I feel like you're always
slow and steady.
going slow and yeah, fortunately for me it's kind of been steady, but yeah, I mean I think it seems to take forever. I mean, I think about this last 2.5 years versus, the first 40. And, and I just think, wow, it
you kind of said that with an attitude. 40.
Well.
I don't know, 40. It's pretty close. And so, I just think, yeah, it seems like it takes forever just to get through all of it. Yeah. I don't know that you're in a hurry.
Well, then also, honestly, it is forever.
Yeah.
But you know what I was gonna say is I think for me, in retrospect now, I think the importance of showing your kids that you're having that bad day or you're scared in that moment or you're angry even, it gives them permission to then express their feelings when they're having a tough day so that they're not in the back room doing something they shouldn't be doing, trying to cope, right?
Right. Right.
It gives them permission, and we know as grown-ups now, there was a pivotal moment in our time in our lives where we looked at our own parents and realized, oh, they're just people. They're really not like on this pedestal, right? If you haven't, you should, because they're just human. And they have bad days and they have good days. And I think if there's a positive spin, it's being able to show them, like with Chris and having, his mental health, issues and the kids knowing like, okay, dad's having a rough time, but guess what? He's taking action. He's getting help, and now look at him, and we're all surrounding him. That is so priceless.
Yeah, they took care of me.
They did.
Like, Daddy, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, but I think that's important.
It's huge when it comes to, and I going back to the mental health. There's a misunderstanding with mental health. That, for one, if I hide it, then nobody knows, and I can't be judged. But the problem is that when I have my moment, everybody's wondering what's wrong.
Right.
What's wrong with Daddy? What's wrong with Chris? He's tripping at work today. Whatever those reasons are. And unfortunately, you have to find that safe place, especially within your family, because it's not anything against them, but unfortunately, my mental health will look like it's something that's against them. Yes. Right? Unless I explain it. Daddy's just having a rough day, or babe, I'm struggling today. My anxiety is high. It's got nothing to do with you. It may come off like it's got something to do with you. I promise it's me, not you. And explain
I had
that
to have that conversation. I had to have that when I was on medication after I finished treatment, and I was supposed to be all normal now, right? And they put me on these estrogen blockers.
You were stable.
I was stable. But what happened is they put me on this medication to hopefully keep the cancer from recurring, and I know it works for many people. For me, it left me in a debilitating state of pain to where I couldn't function. It also made me like a crazy lady, like literally crazy. And I remember being on tamoxifen and telling my oncologist, okay, check this out. And I love her. Like, we're friends. She sends me patients to the Care Project. And I said to her, here's the thing, Dr. Ruby. In this moment, as much as I love you, I could choke you out and not feel bad. And she laughed. She's like, oh, you're so crazy. I was like, yeah.
Stand over your money.
I'm not playing. I'm not playing right now. Like, I could choke you out right now. And she kind of looked at me and she was like, oh. She's like, that's the medication. And I was like, she's like, I can give you something to combat that. I was like, no, I'm not taking anything else. And that's when I went off and I had the total hysterectomy, because what I had to do was tell my girls, 13 and 16, you do the math and the attitude. I looked at them and I said, I got to sit you down. I got to tell you something. You know how I'm taking these pills and they're supposed to keep it from coming back. I was like, here's the thing. There are some mornings where I wake up enraged, like enraged. I woke up, I opened my eyes and I'm like, arr, and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't stand myself.
Who is this?
I was like, You know what?
We should get some of that and join the USFL. Come on, let's go.
Chris is always trying to get paid. But you know what? I had to look at them and I said, here's what we're going to do. Because I was biting their heads off. And then I was telling them, like you just said, it's not you. It's not me. It's the medication. They were like, please stop taking that shit, you know? But what I said is, but it's supposed to keep it from coming back. And, you know, everyone was guilting me. Well, you have kids and da da da. I said,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I had to tell the girl, here's what we're going to do. On the days where I wake up and I feel like that, I'm going to say to you, today is not a good day. And then that's your safe word, correct? And I said, I'm going to stay in my room. I'm going to stay in my room, and you guys have my because I was I used to cook for them every night, and I was like, that is your get out of jail free card. You can eat cereal all day. You can make
All day.
sandwiches all day. Don't fuck with me. Today is not a good day, and it has nothing to do with you. And I love you, but I'm going to keep myself on timeout. I mean, how do you deal with that?
Well, I'm not on those hormone blockers. So, I mean, I had a complete hysterectomy when I was 46. But,
Okay.
and then I went through menopause pre-cancer.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, I use a lot of
Yay,
weed.
menopause.
I use a lot of weed, too.
I know you do. I know you do.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There could be that.
Maybe I should have been doing that.
So, Michelle, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So Chris asked a good question, the tortoise of the hare. How do you compartmentalize your future from your current day? How do you not worry about 5 years from now and your son and things like that? How do you cope with that?
I think that we were talking about this before you came on. So a gift that cancer gave me was my appreciation for every day. Living life to the fullest, not grinding in a 9 to 5 just in order to get by. So I will say that
Right.
I take every day as this is going to be a day where I can have a positive influence in the world, or I can plant. I do a lot of gardening, and so even planting plants and how that's going to bring to the earth
Mm,
different things. So I just live every day as if there may not be another one. So that's where I'm saying I'm kind of like the turtle, because I don't jump ahead. I don't think 5 years down
You're
the line.
present.
Yeah.
You're
right.
in the moment. You're
Right.
present, and like we've said all the time, like on the show, like I live, I work, I love, I dismiss people with a sense of urgency because I don't have time to sit around. I
Yeah.
I
Right.
feel like I'm on borrowed time, right? I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm on borrowed time, and I feel like everybody should feel like that because
Mm-hmm.
it puts things in perspective and it really causes you to slow down. Michelle was sharing when we were recording before you got on that, before her diagnosis, she was on the road for her job. Her husband was stay at home dad doing the dad thing while she was out on the road and never home. And now that she's home and in treatment for the rest of her life, she's learning to cook. She's
Okay.
gardening. She's taking her
Yeah.
son to school. She's doing all these things where I feel like all those simple I always post about that on Instagram. Like I wake up and I go sit in my cabana and I look at just the pool water, my old 1960 pool, right, with the jacked up look. It's not some ultra modern, but it's like beautiful to me. And I know people get sick of me, but I'm like, I'm posting every summer, every day, my pool, whether you like it or not, because I'm so grateful, right, for every little day that we get to experience, even just being here.
Yeah.
Like it sucks that you couldn't have chemo because your liver enzymes are out of whack, but this has been a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, just meeting you face to face on Saturday after we knew each other for like almost a
Right,
year.
right.
But yeah, I think, and Milton, I think one of the things that's put me at a disadvantage is a lot of other moms I talk to have created these boxes with, cards and keepsakes
Oh,
and
yeah.
notes. I haven't done any of that, right? I'm like, no, I'm going to pour every lesson you need to learn in life into
Right
you in
now.
the
Yeah,
next
right.
2
Right.
years,
Right.
and you're never going to make any mistakes. But I'm just like, I don't take time to do that because I would rather be pouring into him, and we would rather be at the beach, having
Yeah.
fun, eating good food.
Living life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We say that
Yeah.
all the time, right? Like Lavetta has been on the show several times, and she always talks about living life to the fullest,
Yeah.
always,
And I
like
always ask
every
that,
day.
are you living or are you existing? So
Yeah, we were talking about that before you got here.
we
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
we
Lavetta does what she wants. And it's awesome to hear her talk about it.
I'm gonna take her to meet Milton one day. Yeah, because she's getting her master's in social work. So,
we did have a question back a little while ago. What does someone do who doesn't have a lot of support around them? What can they do
to help
ground themselves
Oh.
or to feel normalized?
Well, I will tell you, I didn't have a lot of support. I was pretty estranged from the main characters in my family, um, which is why I started the Care Project. So now I know if my cancer ever comes back, I have a plethora of support. Like I'm gonna have DJ at the door being bouncer and Chris letting people on the guest list to come see me because I had nobody. Yeah. And the boyfriend that I had at the time left the day I came home from my mastectomy. I had my mastectomy on February 13th. I hate Valentine's Day. I came home on Valentine's Day and he came over to see me and he was like a nervous Gertie, I say. He just couldn't like sit still. He was like all this and I was cool. I was on morphine or whatever and I was like, I'm good, like I'm straight. And I looked at him and I was like, check this out. My mom was there, my dad was there. That was already triggering. My dad came down for my mastectomy. He lived 500 miles away. I'm like, Dad, can you come like for chemo? Like, I'm having a boob cut off. Why do you have to come right now? Well, I need to do something. So, he came down and acted like a dad. He paid bills. He took my kids shopping, all those great granddad things. But my boyfriend at the time, I told him, I said, I need you to go home and get your shit together because I'm cool. Like, I'm at peace. I need you to be a calming force or get out. And he was like, okay, you're right. I'm going to go home. I'm going to get it together. I never saw him again.
I was going to say, he never came back, right?
He never came back. He couldn't handle it. And that's okay. He couldn't handle it. But
yeah, that's gnarly. I mean, at least.
But I think to answer the question, maybe it's not answering the question, but just to tell you what I did is it caused me to really focus on myself. And I had to dig even deeper than I ever thought. And I'm not going to say pull myself up because that's so cliche. I mean, that's obvious. You're going to do that. Just like the whole, just stay positive. I got to say that with an attitude.
That's going to be on the back of the shirt.
Positivity. Toxic positivity. I mean, we try to do that.
Be grateful you're here.
Well, here's the thing is when you were diagnosed, you still had kids. So you weren't thinking about yourself anyway.
No, you're in fight or flight, right, Milton?
Well, you're just a parent. You're just doing everything. You're like, okay, well, they're going to eat. I'm good.
Yeah, but I mean, literally, let me just be honest. Before cancer, I was living in survival mode, and so it prepped me for this. And so it's a different kind of story, right? But that's a whole other episode. But
that's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge. What you just said, that probably changed the outcome of your experience because you were already in survival mode. So you just went from one experience to another, continuing to survive. I think a lot of times we don't realize how much our prior life sets us up for our current life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every little thing I've ever experienced, every heartache, every whatever, every trauma led me up to being diagnosed with cancer. And I don't think it caused my cancer, people. Please don't hit me with that.
And the other thing that's amazing is that on the back end, you created what you did not have. Yes. You created a support system for others. I tell people when I talk about becoming a therapist, I became what I didn't have. Yeah. I became for others what I didn't have for myself.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing I love about you, Carrie, is I've been up late at night, and I know Carrie goes to bed early, and and we've been texting, and I'm like, wait, I'm in a crisis, and I was just needing to find resources. It's not really like a medical crisis. It's like I need to find these resources, and she will answer the phone, and so I get it. You're there to help. I think about the mom who carries in every single bag of groceries herself, right? Mm-hmm. You're at least there to help carry the bag of groceries. That's awesome.
I do what I can do, but I know that it's been therapy for me. I started the Care Project a year after my diagnosis. I had no business starting a nonprofit. It just was my way of, I won't even say coping. I used to say it's my way of coping, but this guy's taught me differently. It wasn't my way of coping. It was my way of avoiding. But as a result, it was therapeutic for me to help others and to create this space.
Helped you understand that you weren't alone.
It did. And I think that, one of the questions I'm always asked is what's the best advice or the first advice you would give somebody newly diagnosed. And that's my first thing is that you need to find other people who are either going through it or have been there, done that. Find good, supportive people that have been there, done that because your people around you that love you, whether it's your family, your friends, your cousins, whatever, your coworkers, they can mean well, but they don't know. I always say it's like the Jamaica commercial. Remember the Jamaica commercial? Once you go, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been a few times. I would say the second thing is
therapy.
The second thing is the people that aren't good for you. Like bye.
Ooh.
Yeah, and not even for family members. It's not like I'm leaving you forever. She's like I'm gonna separate a little bit so I can get over here and get my thoughts together.
Listen, after I found out, and I had to call my mom, who I was kind of estranged from, and I said, look, I called her from a payphone even. I said, look, I just need to tell you something.
Those are things that people used to put money in back in the day.
The kids on the Tik Tok don't know what a payphone is.
They're probably trying to explain. See, we got it right away, but she was.
But I said,
we got you.
I said to her, here's the thing. Are you sitting down? She's like, no. I'm like, sit down. So she sits down. She's like, oh, crap. I said, I have breast cancer. I need you to call my dad. Now, they were divorced, but they were friends. I said, call my dad. Then he can tell his side. You can tell your side, and you guys can tell my three brothers. But here's what I need you to do. Tell everybody, don't call me. I'm good. I'm with my best friend. We're going to Disneyland tomorrow. Like, hey, Carrie Madrid, you were just diagnosed with breast cancer. Now what are you going to do? Yeah. Bitches, I'm going to Disneyland. I did. I went to Disneyland with new lip gloss, and I didn't care. But I had to separate myself. I had to So one.
You ended up getting kicked out too, like Disney police.
I did not.
But I wonder if that's why marriages don't work, right? Because you can't separate. You know, I think about that all the time.
Let's ask our therapist.
But I think about my husband can't really relate to what I'm going through, no matter how hard he tries.
That's why you have to come here, and you have to talk.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, I agree. And talk therapy, everything. But yeah.
Milton, we were talking earlier about, I asked Michelle if she felt like this experience strengthened her marriage. Tell them your story, how you guys were high school sweethearts.
So my husband and I went out when I was in high school. He was older, so he's
robbing the cradle.
He was 21 and could buy beer. So
I see your motives.
I was 17. He was 21. He could buy a beer. But we broke up when I went to college because I was a college girl then.
She could buy beer.
I could buy my own beer.
Used and abused for beer.
But then we married other people, and he had kids. I didn't have kids with anyone else. And then came back together. We found each other on Facebook and got married each other 12 years ago. So, you know, I think we overcame so many odds that when it came to cancer, we were just locked arm. It wasn't anything that I had to worry about who was on my team there.
It was one of those cases that the marriage really was strengthened.
Yeah. For sure.
Because I've talked about this before with Milton, that, you know, the people that come to the care project that are married, their marriages are either so much better and amazing. Even if they were good marriages to begin with, they're like so strengthened and just solidified. Like if there was ever any doubt, there's no doubt now. We got each other. Or they fall apart. And usually that's when the wife has sort of been very docile and sort of just accommodating to a fault. And then they all of a sudden live through this thing, and they get
their warrior spirit. Yeah.
They get this, oh, yeah. No, that shit's not going to work. And I've had people come in here and be like, I'm telling that mother. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. You didn't even tell him yet. You've been allowing this for 30 years. And now you want to have a backbone? You're going to have to ease him into that, honey. And marriages I've seen go to the brink and come back because those women, and these were just female patients that I know, realized it. Like you can't just up and say, oh, yeah, nope, I'm out. Because you've been allowing it for 30 years.
Yeah.
Right? So what advice would you give, Milton, to couples going through cancer?
You know, the first thing is always communication. I think the hardest part is telling somebody the truth about how you feel. And that also goes with the person who is, you know, doesn't have cancer, and to share their fears, even if it sounds selfish. I'm worried about you losing this, or I'm worried about whether or not you're going to survive it. A lot of the chaos comes from the fear. Is that, am I going to lose this person? Or, you know, what am I going to do without this person? Or am I going to be able to still be attracted to this person? Right. It's think about what we think about on a daily basis is just regular stuff, right? We'll throw a little bit of cancer in there. Now I've got to process not only my everyday, but am I losing my soulmate? Am I losing the attributes of my soulmate? Can I handle this? Can I watch this person go through this, or can I be a part of this? And part of the guilt is coming to terms with maybe I can't, and that's even guilt, and that can create chaos and anger, right? To feel less than, or to feel like I can't support the person that supported me through whatever I went through. It's a lot. If we're just thinking about,
you know what else? You know what else I think about is that I know, like I have lifelong friends, like guys that are like my brothers I've known since like sixth grade. And when I was going through treatment, I really just expected them to be there, right? And they weren't. A couple of them weren't, and a couple of them were. And I was so hurt, and then I got angry, right? And then I got an attitude. And then they come back around when I'm done with active treatment, like, hey, Madrid, you good? You good now, right? Back to normal, like, kick it, la, la, la. I'm like, where you been?
right,
Where have you been? And they
right,
were like, so one of my dear friends, I adore him. He said to me, let me be honest, I couldn't stand to see you like that. Now I've really got an attitude because I'm like, oh, you couldn't handle it.
right,
How do you think I felt? Right?
right.
How do you think
I got
I felt?
in the mirror. Right,
Right. I go
right,
bald. I was the girl that grew up in the 90s with the big hair, big boobs, like
right.
whatever. I thought I was Lisa, right?
She still owns Aquanet stock.
But so I was so mad. But what I realized through a mutual friend of his and mine that we grew up with, who's a licensed clinical social worker, is what it did is it caused him to face his own mortality. Like if this could happen to Madrid, this could happen to any of us. Just like now
And,
that we're 50, right? Like there's people that are having heart attacks, and now I'm like, oh
yeah,
shit, let me
yeah,
lose this 40 pounds because
right. You said something with the being faced with mortality, whether it's cancer or having losing a parent or things like that. All these things make us start to take stock in our day to day, in our families, in our loved ones. It is tough. That is a tough thing. And so, which is why I asked Michelle that question, because part of that is how do you not face your mortality daily based off of being metastatic, and again, you're planting. I love what you said. You're planting and you're doing these things, so you're creating life in the midst of your experience, which I think is absolutely amazing, by the way. So,
Thank you.
uh,
Well, and
yeah.
then Carrie and I both share the fascination with death as well.
that's why I'm
Mm-hmm.
studying to be a death doula. Yeah,
and hospice. All of our hospice nurse friends.
hospice nurse Julie and
Yeah, I mean,
Penny
I think for a while, Milton, I even like embraced death. Like I thought I had one foot in the grave, and I told Carrie this. I when I just had this really good scan, I thought I had one foot in the grave at the time, and it was the treatment pulling me down. But I've also come to terms with this being accepting that and doing that gracefully and planning for that and that sort of thing.
You know what, Chris? I'm thinking about Lavetta.
Yeah.
How many times has Lavetta said on a show talking about being metastatic and how she was angry at first and really sad and scared, but then eventually she settled into, okay, I'm living with metastatic breast cancer. And bitch, I'm living.
She has a zen about it in an attitude way. It's awesome.
Because she's gone through she's gone through every emotion there is, right? She's been angry, she's been mad, she's been sad, she's gone into a depression, she's gone into the
now she's doing her.
Now she's like, okay, well, guess what? I have metastatic breast cancer and I'm gonna live every day to the full.
Yeah, I've gotten many a text from Carrie when she's like, yeah, no, me and Lavetta we're going to Puerto Rico. Oh, when? 4 days. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Have fun. I want to go.
Yeah, well, and it causes me to, having friends like Michelle, having friends like Lavetta, it's tough. And I've talked to Milton about this offline. It's tough, because 98% of my friends are because of cancer.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change it for the world. I would not change my cancer diagnosis. It saved my life. It gave me purpose. It caused me to get to learn myself and to love myself in all my scarred glory, right? But that doesn't take away from the fact that it's still fucking hard when I have to get a call or a text from somebody like Michelle or Lavetta or Heather or Catherine. Catherine has been metastatic for like 17, 18 years, just so you know. I'll send you that podcast link.
Yeah.
Um, when one of them gets worse or treatment stops working or somebody passes away, it sends me reeling. So what I've learned is that I just need to be driving Chris crazy and Milton crazy and Diana crazy with my big bright ideas. I'm like, hold on, I just had a thought. And like this tonight, I mean, this has been great.
Yeah.
She keeps sending me text messages because she's worried it won't work.
I'm like, are you sure? So technically, I'm
But
blind.
yeah, no, I mean, your bright ideas make me have a good day. It's fun.
But you said earlier too that doing this show, while cancer hasn't touched your immediate life, doing the show has really caused you to live more presently and also urgently, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, way more urgency in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, way more urgency in my life for the right things, I should say.
Right.
You know, I always felt urgent that I had to get my
That's
job
huge.
done, or I had to go do this, and I had to do this,
Right.
and I had to build this. But now the urgency has shifted a little bit. So like, no, I need to make sure this happens. Take care of myself. Make sure I'm a kid. So yeah.
That self stuff, huh, Milton?
Ooh,
That's
and that brings me to, and I clients battle with this in session quite a bit. The idea of selfishness.
yeah.
There's a struggle in doing for yourself. Society has all taught us to be selfless and to give your shirt or the last bite of your sandwich or whatever that is. And there it is okay to be selfish at times. It is okay to do the things for you, because if you don't do them, there's a day that you will have regrets, and that anger will go towards the person that you felt like you sacrificed for.
Oh, sorry, I had
So,
a moment.
so
True. So
you
true.
I
so
don't want to
true.
have that. I don't want to have that moment where I realize that I didn't do what I wanted to do. I didn't take care of
No way.
myself. I don't want to have that. And this podcast taught me a lot of that. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there is a time in your life where you do have to look up and say, wait a minute. It doesn't mean that I love anybody less. It means that I also love myself, and I need this for me. Because there is anger and resentment that comes with not living your life for you. And if you don't live it for you, then nobody else benefits. You do have to do the things for you to make yourself happy. So your wife, your kids. Otherwise, you find yourself, you look up and you say you lived it for everybody else, and now I'm pissed.
That's where I'm at, right? That's where I'm at right now, and I'm 51 years old. And it took me until I was 48, and I had a life changing moment with a speaking engagement, and I realized, like, oh, and I still have aha moments, and I'll like text Milton or I'll share a video with him that I find. I'm like, oh my God, why didn't you tell me this? Well, because we just met. But I mean, it's almost been, I don't know how long it's been, but I feel like I have these aha moments, and I'm like, oh my God, I get me now. Like, I know why I accepted that behavior. I know why I can't accept this. I know why I married that guy. I'm being nice. Like I get it. And so now it took me to 48 to get to understand. That's
Hmm.
why I say I would never take my cancer diagnosis back, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
Oof.
Yeah, and I hope that through our kids and other people we
drink.
talk to, younger people, that they understand that earlier. And what they're saying, and down here,
And that's why we share, right?
in our comments, they're talking about living life out loud and
Yes.
having everything
Let me
be
look at
like
those comments.
grandeur.
Mm-hmm. Self care.
Yeah.
Well, that's why every Friday night now I literally do nothing but I'll take a long leisurely shower.
Telling
You know,
ya.
I might attempt to shave my legs. I might not. But I change the sheets on my bed on Friday. Like, I work from home. So I'll take my sheets off, I'll put fresh sheets on my bed. I do all of the just simple stuff. And I remember I text my friend Zelita one Friday night and I said, it was a funny picture. I had my feet in a tub of water because I worked so much. I just didn't have time to go get a pedicure. So I thought, screw it. I'm going to just soak my feet. I'm blind in one eye, so I can't really paint well, but I'm just going to soak them at least, right? And I got in bed and I put lotion on my feet and I felt like it was so kind of, sounds kind of creepy to say, but if you know, you know. I sat there and I put lotion on my feet and I thought for 10 seconds I was real salty. I was like, man should be putting lotion on my feet right now, like, you know. And then I was like, you know what? Thank God I'm able. Thank God I'm able. Thank God I
Ooh,
own my own. Thank God
ooh.
I own my own home. I don't care if it's 1,100 square feet. I have my own little home.
And
Like,
your dog
Mm,
and your
and my
pool.
dog and my
I don't put
pool.
lotion on my wife's feet. I'm sorry.
You're fired. Where's that? We're gonna have Evelyn on next time.
She's probably
I
But you know what? But it's just that little bit. Like everybody around me knows. Don't ask Carrie to go to dinner on Friday night. Nope, Carrie's at home. My phone is on, but it's over there, and I'm soaking
mm,
my feet, and I'm taking a real shower. I might shave my one armpit that grows hair, because that's an
Yeah.
unknown fact. We'll go into that on another show, huh? All those random things.
I have no hair anywhere. So.
Well, I miss
Not even
I
in my
kind of
nose.
I kind of miss being bald. It was so liberating. But really, the self care aspect is so important. And every Friday night now, I just know I'm not making any plans. I don't care what you got going on. Don't get
mm,
married. Don't
mm.
don't have a 50th birthday party. I'm probably not coming.
The new Thor movie.
No, Friday,
So
Saturday.
I want to speak to this real quick because TV just said something that I thought was pretty. Going back to the caretaker, the role.
Hmm.
TB just shared that his sister is sick and he's stepping back into the caretaking role. So just real quick, you guys, when it comes to being a caretaker, you just have to know. And I know TB, you're aware, and you might not be aware. And I hope that over this live and other lives is that you still have to take care of you. You won't be any good for your sister if you don't take care of you, TB. I understand
Absolutely.
sacrifice. I understand all of those things, and I respect the role that you're taking on with your sister. But I do want you to make sure that you won't be able to be the best caretaker you can be without taking care of you as well. So, and you're now going into a back-to-back situation. So, if there is support, use it. If there's nurses or there's situations that allow you to step out, take advantage of those days. Don't feel guilt about taking care of you or having to go to the gym or go for a drive or whatnot. If there's support, make sure you use the support. Don't try to do this.
Absolutely.
And ask for help if you need it.
Ooh,
How many
that's
times people
Ugh,
have said to me,
we
"You
say that
didn't
all
tell
the
me
time.
you needed it." And I was like, "Okay, well, this is it. This is what I need."
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, as
mm-hmm.
patients, we're guilty of that. As patients, we're guilty of that. I say that on a lot of our shows. We get resentful because so and so didn't show up for us, or nobody checked in on us, or how come they didn't think to bring a meal to my. Well, here's the harsh reality. People will say to us, and I know you've heard this a million times. Let me know if you need
Yeah, let
anything.
me know when you need anything.
People like me, and this is a bad thing, but people like me, we're not going to ask for help, like ever, never, ever, never. So just realize there's a need and handle it. If you really want to help,
Uh-huh.
just show up with a case of water. Show
Ooh,
up, and like I
say
had a
it.
friend who just showed up one day, and he drove by my little house and he saw that my grass was overgrown. And I used to
Oh,
love to go outside and cut my grass. I did all the things. I used to wash my own car. Like it's therapeutic for me to wash a car. I couldn't do anything when I was in chemo. I could barely stand up. And so my friend Chris showed up in a Nissan Sentra with a lawnmower in the trunk and just cut my lawn. I was like, you get a medal. You get a medal. My friend Vern showed up. He worked for the railroad and he had like this truckload, literally truckload of bottled water. And it was like little bottles, like this big versus like the big one. So I was so weak I could hold the little bottle. He just brought them and set them on my step and texted me and said, "There's water on your porch. Have the girls bring it in." I was like, "No, fool, you bring it in. I'm
Uh-huh.
up." You know? But I mean, these
Yeah,
guys just
yeah,
showed up for me. And this is what you
yeah,
need to do because patients are not going to reach out to you. And let me just say to the patient, say what you need because you
yeah,
can't get mad at
yeah.
anybody if you don't tell them, I need your help. And trust me, that's hard for me, but I would say it now. I don't have
And
no
it's
problem saying
funny
it now.
being on the side of needing. When my father passed away, you learn some new things about when it comes to death. You learn things about the process and things like that. I remember it being hard when people came to me and said, "Hey, if you need anything, give me a call."
Yeah.
And I just thought I would never. I'm showing up with something. I can't. I couldn't process the idea of, hey, so you said if I need anything, call.
Right.
I'm in the toughest time of my life. I'm
I'm not
calling
gonna
you
say
to
that.
tell you
Yeah, I can
what
barely
I
brush my
need.
teeth
I
right
could
now.
never,
I'm really not gonna call you. Yeah.
right. And so I
I
say
don't
that to
even
say
answer
is
the phone,
that,
Makes
let
me
alone
kind of
call
angry right now.
anybody.
I'm
right,
kind of getting an
right,
attitude right now.
right. So
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. And or the other thing is people asking me, are you okay? Well, um, uh,
Not
uh,
really.
so
But how do
that
we?
was
But
the other
listen,
thing.
society has conditioned us to just, oh, I'm good. Yeah, I'm okay. Right?
Right.
Because we
Well,
want
no,
to
I looked at him straight
automatically.
like, go ahead.
Not so bad. Well, I was just gonna say, like, I know for me, I feel like, oh yeah, I'm okay, because we talked about this at our social Saturdays. We automatically default to, as women, I know in particular, we try to keep everybody else around us calm, smooth it all out. We set the
Right.
tone. We've been ingrained with that shit, right? Fuck that. Say how you're sorry. Say how you're feeling. We're gonna be
Yeah.
banned. Damn it! I'm gonna get banned on my first line.
But I say all that to say is that it was it was for me to know what to do the next time for somebody else.
Yeah.
So as I say it as something that angered me, I just know now when I'm dealing with somebody from that space or in that space that it's not for me to ask you, how you doing? I know how you're doing. You lost a parent or you lost a loved one. Or
Right.
I know you need something, whether it's water, it's a couple of bucks, it's a lunch. I know you need something. So I'm going to come to the table with something versus ask you what you need.
Right. Right.
But again,
I yeah. I think that's perfectly said.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's
You
perfectly
learn from the
said.
experiences.
We do learn from the experiences. It's something that we talk about. I'm gonna, I never do this, but I just see my book over there for a second, and Chris is like, you
Oh,
never
I've been
plug your
meaning to
book.
think about
So
that
at
too.
the Care Project, myself, Margaret Lesh, who's a two-time survivor, and 10 other survivors contributed to this book. It's called Handle with Care, or Your Breast Cancer Support Group in a Book. It's really relative to any type of cancer. And what it is it is the perspective of 12 different survivors, including a male, including somebody
Okay.
who is religious, somebody who believes only in science, somebody, all different walks of life. And you can
Mm-hmm.
flip to whatever uh, phase of cancer you're in. If it's chemo, if it's surgery, whatever, radiation, talking to your kids, what not to say. That's my favorite chapter. What not to say.
That's
Um,
pretty much our whole podcast.
that's pretty much our whole. We probably should rename it to that.
What not to say,
What not to
cancer and
say.
beyond.
Yeah, just stay positive. We don't like that shit. Don't tell us that. We're already trying to stay positive. But that book is really a great resource for anybody, not only who's recently diagnosed or in treatment, but actually my aunt who bought 10 copies after she read it was like, this is so great for anyone who has a friend, a loved one, a coworker going through, because it allows them as an outsider to see and hear how the patient feels so that they can respond appropriately, whether it be showing up for help or whether it
Mm-hmm.
be not saying the wrong thing, like just stay positive, or at least with something breast cancer, you can live without a breast. Okay, that doesn't make it any easier. That's the next episode. We
um,
really should wrap
yeah.
this up. We've been on here for a long time, Milton. I appreciate you showing up, and I know you've had a full day of work. Michelle, I'm
I had a
sorry.
full day of having fun.
I'm sorry that you weren't able to have chemo today, but I'm so glad that you were able to be here and record live. Thank you to everybody that joined us. I haven't seen it. I don't know how many people have been in here. Is there any pressing question, Michelle, you think we need
No,
to
no,
answer?
there really hasn't been. I mean, just a
Okay,
lot of support and
awesome.
and support for Barry. So
Carrie, TB, we call him TB.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
TB.
we love TB. Go follow Milton
Oh,
at Talkspace Official. Official. There's some
Oh.
imposter out there. Chris, did I tell you that?
What? Somebody stole
Somebody
him?
took his picture, recreated a Talkspace 2. I saw it one day
That
online.
means
I
he's
was
made
like,
it, right?
that's what I told him.
That's what
That's what
everybody
I
keeps
told him.
saying. I disagree with that. I'm like, what?
I opened TikTok and I see this like friend request. I don't know what, maybe it's not friend request.
follower.
Yeah, something like that, like a follower. a talk space too, and I thought, oh, this fool is really full of himself. He went and created a backup account because I know other TikTokers like Hostess Nurse Julie and others that have a ton of followers. Like she's pushing 900,000.
Better a fake account about him than another Kardashian one.
Right. So I text him. I'm
There
like,
you
oh
go.
my God, did you create a second account? He's like, hell no. I'm like, you need to get on TikTok immediately and say something because this fool, this other person even tried to talk to me. Like, hello, how are you today? I was like, oh, that ain't Milton.
Yeah, don't click on anything because they're just trying to
That
steal
is
your stuff.
not Milton. No.
Somebody asked right now where to get the book.
So go to thecareprojectinc.org. Is it on my site too?
CarrieMadrid.com.
CarrieMadrid.com. If you actually,
You can just
you're
go to
on
Amazon,
TikTok,
too.
go to my link in my bio.
Yeah,
My
you go.
link in my bio has everything from my personal website to the Care Project, which is my nonprofit. You can get the book. You can find the podcast. If you listen to some episodes, do us a favor and leave us a review or a rating so my producer over there feels good about the work he does.
Yo.
And if you want to start a podcast, call Chris.
That's me.
Thisisfunner.com. And thank
crazy.
you. Wait, let me finish. Thank you to Cozy Earth for my jammies. I'm gonna try to get Milton some.
Plug.
I'm gonna try to get
This is
Milton
a plug.
some.
Cozy Earth, we all need
No,
them
really,
here.
they
Yeah, the
sponsored.
sweats look dope.
They sponsored this episode.
I'm gonna need me
Candlelit
some
Care.
all black joints. I think they're
They
all
have
black.
some. So there's a 40% off discount. These have been on Oprah's favorite things for 4 times.
She probably has a closet with just
Oh my
a
God.
bunch of them
Are
in
there
it.
pink ones, Carrie? 'Cause,
I don't do pink. There is pink, actually. My daughter has the ivory. There's a short set. These are long pajamas. My daughter has a short set that are ivory. But there's socks. There's bedding. I want the bedding.
I want one of the sweatshirts.
I want
like
the bedding.
A giant sweatshirt you can just pull over.
Yep.
Sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have joggers. They have hoodies. So, yeah, check it out. There's a link for 40% off in my bio. And 5% commission comes back to the Care Project, not me. So,
Nice.
not a lot, but it's something. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm toast. I'm done.
Thank you.
I've had wine. I gotta go. This was fun. I can't see it.
This was good. I
Let's
appreciate
do
this.
again.
This was awesome.
Let's do it
I
again.
had a fun time.
Yeah. So you guys send me a message if you want us to do it again. We will. No abrupt ending, Chris. Chris is over here.
We have to say goodbye, Chris.
Wait. TB, if you're there, and Lonnie, I saw Lonnie join.
TB is still there.
Lonnie's gonna come on the show next. TB, I'm giving you a proper goodbye because
you know what? Don't even. My duty calls.
My duty calls. I got to drive home before it starts.
Take care.
All right, guys. Take care. See ya.